All right. Way to crank up our energy with our rock music. Good job on the tunes.
Hey, Brad.
Yes.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good, good. How's business going? How's everything going with Ignite? The stuff you're getting from it, what's showing back up in your world out there?
It's good. I just started in November. I haven't really done cold calling yet. I'm a little nervous about that. I'm just trying to do like more open houses now. Obviously, the market hasn't been great, but I feel like it's starting to open up a little now. So I'm hoping things start picking up for me. I know the first year is a little tough, as I hear, but hopefully not for me.
Well, and I don't know how many of the calls have you been on? I haven't really looked at the roster to see who's been making what sessions. You've been on a few of them, haven't you?
On this, I've been on everyone.
Yeah. So I love it that you just shared, and I hope everybody's listening. Haven't started cold calling, a little nervous about that.
I know
Guess
I've
what? That's never going to go
go
away
anywhere.
ever, 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 ever. Nobody likes to cold call, and nobody really can do it long term. Like literally, if when we talk about lead generation, I call it the four-letter word lead generate, right? Think about 4 hours a day just calling and talking to strangers every single day. That's called what are those phone people that just call out and just like window sales or all that stuff. What am I thinking of? What do you call those people that call out all the time?
I know um
Just
telemarketers.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, if you did that for 4 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week, I mean, first of all, your business would be way bigger.
Yeah.
However, how much fun would you really have coming in, talking to strangers for 4 hours a day, trying to convince them to not hang up on you, right?
Hmm.
So again, when you do it enough, a lot of that's going to go away. And sorry about that. I've got, let me do one thing here. Okay. Um, that's never really going to ever go away. Um, because you've got that list of everybody that's on Facebook friends list. You've got the list of everybody that's in your phone. Um, you've got people you can call that you already know and get back in touch with, and maybe not even think about it like selling real estate at first. Like I say, I'm just kind of reiterating this because we are going to talk about this today, and that is that just reconnecting with everyone and using Ford, FORD. And if you guys have to write it down again, write it down again, FORD. And that's family, occupation, recreation. And then it's dreams, although you're not going to do a whole lot with the dream part of it. Um, it's actually just a reason to call and say, hey, how are you doing? What's up? How's the family? Things like that. So just reconnecting, writing a handwritten note. That's the second thing that you want to do. And then put them on a reminder follow-up system. So if you're fairly new, I don't know if you have a different database you're using or if you're still playing around in Command and you're considering that your database. Would that be the case?
Yeah, I use Command
Yeah.
as my database. That's what I'm doing now. I'm like learning now. I'm getting better at, how everything works.
So guys, let's keep it real simple. You just have to figure out how to feed a name, address, phone number into Command. That's the only thing you need to worry about doing. Don't worry about everything else it does. The second thing you do is once you get the name, address, phone number in there is just set up a reminder phone call for 4 weeks and another phone call for 8 weeks. And this is considering that the people that you're putting in every day are people that you took off your master list. You had a phone number and an address that you researched and found for them. Keep it that simple. If you got enough phone numbers and addresses to dial numbers for an hour every day and connect with people, and I mean, if you can do it for 2 or 3 hours, you're just going to build your business faster. But as they answer the phone and you use family, occupation, recreation, that kind of stuff, just general talk, and have a stack of notes sitting there. So you're writing, I'm telling you, the note is magical. It's going to change everything because when you connect with them, you put them in command, and you schedule a phone call in 4 weeks and in 8 weeks. That's your 8x8. You can figure out the emails and the letter content or anything else that you want to drip in between later, but at least the phone calls you want to absolutely have pop up. So if you connect, write a note, and made 2 more phone calls over 8 weeks, you will be so top of mind for real estate. And like we talked about it yesterday and the day or Wednesday and on Monday, like over half of the buyers and half of the sellers in the market actually have a friend or relative that gave them a name of a person to call. And so they're getting referrals, right? Yet if you look at an agent's business, nobody's really getting 50% referrals out of their whole entire database. That means if you had 1,000 people in your database, we should be getting 500 referrals, right? If you had 200 people in your database and 50%, 49 or 41 or 42%, you should have, if you have 200 people in your database, you should have somewhere between 80 to 100 referrals every single year. And the reason that's not happening is because we're not top of mind with all the people that are already in our list of Facebook and our cell phones and all that stuff. So you'll increase that by doing that. I will also tell you that people that have good databases and good lists and have been in for a while still are not getting that many referrals, because there are very few people that really truly live by and do a 36 touch on everyone for 5 to 10 years. It doesn't exist. So when you guys come to this class and we talk about this, don't go ask somebody else if they're doing it, because 99.9% of the agents in Keller Williams in a company that talks about it all the time isn't doing it. And if they are doing it, they might be doing an all email drip plan. That is not going to get you top of mind. Very few people are doing calls. And I'll give you a real world example. So at MAPS Coaching, I was coaching top teams in the company. And we would look at their database, and I have the same conversation with everyone, because it's the core one thing that will blow your business up. It'll double or triple it. And any follow-up plans that I've ever looked at, I've never seen anyone with personal touches built into all of their plans. It's never been there in the top teams in the company. And it's just because we try to automate we try to automate too much. And our whole entire industry, everything that supports us, from databases and follow-up plans and video programs and Facebook, ad marketing, blah, 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 all of that stuff. I mean, they're all automated. So just do one thing here real quick. They're also automated that it's trying to make our lives easier by not having to do anything. And it's not working. So because we're not getting 50% of our referrals from that. Does that make sense? I mean, let me pause there and just, if anybody has any questions about that, or are you getting it a little bit, having this conversation?
Yes.
It is, man, I'm telling you, the master list, if you guys could just free your mind for a second, free judgment. I'm telling you, if you trust me on this one thing and you do this, all of you, we will, this little group right here will blow up our market centers. And it is, get the spiral notebook. If you haven't done it yet, get a spiral notebook, sit down with Facebook today or this weekend, write every name, because it's going to mix it up next time you come back to Facebook. You can't log out. You can't start it and do a few names and then come back and do it later. It's too confusing because it mixes it all up. And last thing you want to do is make anything any more confusing than it needs to be. So just open up your Facebook friends list, scroll down till it quits scrolling. It might take you a little while. I mean, if 5,000 people, it takes about 20 minutes to get all the way to the bottom, so it has everybody's name in the list. And then just start at the top and just scroll and write those names in the notebook. You're going to come back and find the information later. So you don't want to click on a name and then go into their about and look for see if they've got their phone number listed there. Just get the names into the notebook first, because then you can just type their name in your email. You can type their name in your phone. You're going to find a bunch of it that way. You can type their name in the tax records. I mean, you can type their name in Facebook and pull them back up and then go to their about page and see if where they live. And then you can put them in fastpeoplesearch.com and see, put their name and their city in and see if it pulls up an address. Then you can take that address and go to the MLS and check the tax record, see if they still live there. And if their name shows up on the tax record, you probably have the right address. So now you got their address. And then you can check your phone and see if you've ever had a call with them. I mean, unless you just got a new phone and you lost all your past calls, you can also check email. That any email accounts might have their signature in the bottom where it's got their cell phone. If they sent you an email from work, anywhere that in the history of your past emails and deleted emails, you might find a signature that has a phone number. So you just piece it in there. And so you take that 1 hour to get the names in the book. Then you take an hour a day and you do your research on filling in as much of that as you can on every name in the book. Just start at the top and work your way through. So that the next hour or two, when you're really needing to get some business, you can just open that book up and just find the ones that have phone numbers and addresses and start calling. And half of those people probably won't answer their phone, so you're going to leave them in your notebook. But the half that answer the phone and you can connect, then that's when Ford kicks in. FORD, family, occupation, how's work, how you been doing? Just hadn't talked to you in a while, and I was just thinking of you because you wrote their name in the book. I was just thinking of you, and I realized I hadn't checked in a while, so I better call and see how you guys are doing. Everything good? And just get the conversation going. That's what your note's going to be about. And then you're going to write a note. So great to hear the kids are doing well. And again, I'm kind of going through this pretty fast, but we've talked about this a lot. So hopefully it's just starting to sink in. If I'm going too fast and you're hearing this for the first time, then just call me. And I'll put my stuff in here and I'll go over it again. But this is kind of what we talk about all the time. So let me pick up where I left off. I'm just putting my phone number in the chat again. If you guys have been on the call, you've probably gotten it written down. Save me in your phone. You can also email me. That's what I'm here for, is to help you really get this, right? So anyway, you connect with them. You write the handwritten note, and then you put them in command, and then you schedule 2 calls in 4 weeks and 8 weeks because you connected with them on the phone. The people that didn't answer, you're just leaving them in your notebook. If you connect with them, scratch them out of that notebook, because now you've got them in command. As soon as you put them in command, scratch them out of the notebook, because now you've got the contact management system that's going to help you stay in touch with them forever. So when I say every single person you meet from this day forward, or have a 2-way conversation with from this day forward, you're going to stay so in touch with that you're going to start seeing this path to 100 sales show up. I mean, for every 1,000 people, you're going to have at least 100 opportunities if you stay in touch with them. And 1,000 people sounds like a lot, but it's 5 people a day for the whole year, though. It's for the next 12 months. We're going to have 1,200 people if we do 5 a day and we make that our focus. So I focus on that 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day a lot. It's already, I mean, I'm already like into the first slide or two was to remind you about the 5 a day, but I love it when it comes out of conversation like that. So cold calling won't really ever be necessary. And I will tell you this, you will actually enjoy doing cold calling a little more when you master staying in touch with the people that you already have. So as you get into this relationship side of the business and you start doing it with all the people you know, you may do so well with that and have way more people than you thought on your list that you could just keep that list. But if you ever wanted to grow your business beyond that, because that's still going to give you a limited number at some point, it's going to be a big limited number, but that's when you bring on your lead generation tools to generate new leads. But once you've created this relationship so strong and you know how to, once you have a 2-way conversation, you automatically write the note, you automatically put them in command, or you automatically put them on a drip plan, a smart plan, right? That has all those triggers in there, because you can create that as a series of events. But I'm saying if you've spent 2 days or 3 days and you don't know how to create a smart plan, then just post a reminder call for 4 weeks and 8 weeks. Keep it simple until you can sit down and figure out how to do the campaign and build it all out. At least schedule the next 2 calls. So when you do that, then when you start bringing in the cold leads and you're following up on internet leads, you know how to have a conversation with people and get them to open up to you, so you can write them a note, so you can add them to command, and you'll actually grow your business faster that way. Because the old way of cold calling, is our mindset is still snapping back to finding the next deal, finding the next deal, finding the next deal. And that's why it's never fun, because you're only going to find 1% of those people moving now. So you got to listen to a whole lot of no's, and then you get the stranger on the phone who is the 1%, and you still have to convince them that they should use you, you know, because they don't know you from Adam or whatever. So anyway, so let me open it up for questions on that. Anybody have any questions about that?
Hi.
Yes.
So I was starting to reach back to old people, like, you know, from the past. It's for those who I haven't spoken to 10 years, 8 years. It's kind of awkward for me to just randomly call them out of the blue for me. Okay. Especially with, you know, the millennials, they prefer things via text, not like phone calls. They just kind of screen the calls. So I started texting, and I would text, you know, reached out to a couple of old friends, and they reached out. And the next thing you know, it turns into this, you know, great conversation going back and forth. But then I realized, oh my God, if I did several a day, then I've got 6 other of my other friends that are texting me. I'm like, I'm going to be on the day texting all day long. I'm going to go crazy because I'm a relationship kind of person. I engage. I know when to stop a conversation and when not to, but it was a lot. How do you manage? Because then if you keep adding that up, you're going to have, you know, 20 text messages a day, you know, in total, like a lot. I have a lot of other people also texting me,
Yeah.
you know, so
let me break that whole thing.
How do you manage that?
Yeah, let me break that whole thing down for you. First of all, millennials texting, people prefer texting when they already know people, like our friends and stuff that we work out with or that we see on Tuesdays for Taco Tuesday. We all text each other. When it's coming out of left field and you haven't talked to them in a year, the text message isn't the right way to get the conversation going. It isn't. That text message is going to be a way to stay in touch once you get reconnected. So I'm going to say phone call, absolutely, for sure, because that allows you to have a conversation and them to hear your voice. And you need that for them to put you, to see your face and put it in their memory that you are a realtor. And it's not that you're talking about real estate, but you are just talking. Real estate will come up in there. But remember, you got to get their address too. So if I just text somebody out of the blue, I'm going to come back to not out of the blue, okay? But if I text somebody out of the blue to reconnect, then I have to text something like, hey, it's real great catching up. What's your address? And that's where it crosses over to weird. But in a phone call, you're just like, so where are you living now? What side of town are you on? Because conversation is happening and they're talking. I'm telling you, millennials still, if all the people, they love getting the handwritten note. Everybody does. There's a human being inside of us that there is something about me seeing my handwriting or a person's handwriting that's writing a genuine note to me that feels good. It doesn't matter what generation you're from. Now, once that's happened, we may do more texting than we do call. So on that follow-up plan, so the first plan is, I say 2 calls, week 4 and week 8. You could have a text message in there as one of the touches as well, but you want 8 touches in 8 weeks. The marketing study shows that puts you top of mind, so that when they think of real estate over the next 8 weeks after connecting with you, they're going to think of you. They're going to absolutely, your face is going to pop in their mind, and whoever's saying it, they're going to be like, oh, I know who you need to call. You need to call Roya, right? They're just going to say it just like subconsciously. It's just going to come out of their mouth. I know exactly who you need to call because they've gotten something for 8 weeks. Now, the 36 touch is what keeps us top of mind, and not once a month, because then you start dropping down. And then when I say tennis shoes and you think of Nike or Adidas, you might be Keds, right? Because you're going to drop back down to the Keds spot. Or if I say potato chips, you might drop back down to the Frito spot. You want to be the Lay's. You want to be the Crest and toothpaste when they think of that, so they pop that name out. So over a 36 touch, and the best way you guys can do is just draw a line, put 36 dashes on it. And then every fourth of the way through those dashes, add a phone call. Okay, now I'm coming to your text message. And then in between the first dash and the first phone call, and between that call and the next call, those dashes in between, grab a middle spot there and put text, social media touch, direct message, personal touch. So now I'm doing a techie touch in between my phone calls. So here's what's going to happen. Most of the time, you're going to still get voicemail. Every quarter, so every 3 months you make a phone call, you're going to get voicemail at least 2 out of the 4 times. But you want to avoid that. Like, the phone call is where the conversation happens, and you can hear buying signals and selling signals, like they might be thinking about moving. You're going to hear that in a conversation. It is hard to have a decent conversation in a text message. Everything's short and quick, so you're not able to just kind of feel them out. What's been going on at work? I mean, nobody's going to type all that stuff out. That's for your quick text. So in between the phone calls is a text message or a direct message on Facebook or social media or liking one of their pictures or whatever. So how do you keep track of it? First of all, it will not pile up on you like you think. You're going to be a year and a half down the road before you might have 15 to 20 to do in a day. Now, if half of those are text messages, just a quick text, just saying, hey, was just thinking of you today. How's everybody doing? Or it's just something on Facebook. Like, so it says, send them a direct message. So I'll pull them up on Facebook. Most people have their entire lives on Facebook. It's like, hey, I saw your pictures from last weekend. Look like fun. Something like that. And then I'm done. The system told me, like, command will pull to the top of your list for today. Here's your tasks. And one of those tasks from somebody that I connected with 4, 5, 6 months ago. Somebody I connected with 6 months ago, it's saying send them a text message or direct message. So there's their name. I pull them up. I see what's going on. They did the Chiefs game, for example, Kansas City Chiefs game this last weekend. So you're like, oh, the Chiefs game looks so much fun. What an amazing game. Like, if I popped up on your list, that's what you would say, because you'd pull it up, you'd see Chiefs pictures on my Facebook, and you would just send me a quick text message. How was the game? Right? So, and then I'm done. So it's almost like it's robotic, but the command is keeping you consistent and persistent. You just keep up with it as best you can. If you drop the ball on some of them, or you get like 40 calls in one day because maybe you got a little energetic and you did like a ton of calls one day, you did your bold 100. Bold 100 means you make 100 two-way conversations in one day, and you'll probably connect with 40 people on the phone. Well, you should have 100 connections. You'll dial 200 numbers to have 100. But you'll have really probably 30 really good conversations with people, and you should pick up 1 or 2 appointments for every 100 people. Anytime I've seen bold 100s done, they usually come back with 1 to 3 appointments. But it also means you had about 25 or 30 good conversations too. So you might have that happen in one day. You just make the best you can of that list, and by the end of the day, tomorrow, you're going to have more calls popping up because you've been doing this every single day, not taking a break. That just throw the list away. They're on a drip plan. They're going to come up as another call in a month and a half. They're going to come up with another text message in 3 months. They're getting things in between, emails and things like that. So the drip is still happening. So what I tell people is, if you're going to fall behind, then just ditch the old list as long as a campaign or action plan is running. So you don't have to keep track of it. You just have to trust that I've got it in a good system, and the system's going to tell me when it's time to do it again. Does that make a little more sense? Can you see? And you're not using it yet, so you might not see it yet. And then let me tell you guys, because here's what happens. That's like an hour of the day is doing the on purpose stuff. But then I'm going to go out and do my natural stuff today too. It's like, I really do think of somebody that didn't pop on my list, and they weren't on my list in the last month, but I saw them yesterday, or I saw them at the game, or we talked or something like that. And so I'm having a natural general conversation that wasn't programmed by any system. And that's why I say, when you do this system, you do your stuff in the morning, in the early day. That's your 9 to 11 lead generation. It's really lead follow-up, right? And it's really cultivation follow-up. It's not really lead generation. So it's cultivation follow-up. And then you get to go do whatever you want the rest of the day. And whatever you want means you're going to naturally meet people. You're going to bump into somebody who's like, hey, aren't you a realtor? And they're not on a plan yet. And you're going to go, yeah, it's like we were thinking about selling our house and we wonder if we can get value. So your natural stuff is going to still happen. All right. So hopefully that will help you understand that it will not get out of control if you trust command and you create the plans, the campaign, the smart plans that we're talking about. All right. Any more questions on that? Oh, let me see if there's something in the chat box here. I got to keep an eye on the chat box for you. Yep. So this is great. Elizabeth shared. I'm having an issue getting them. I'm going to mute our background noise just for a minute. So if you wanted to add something, you can definitely unmute yourself again. And Roya, you got your hand up. Did you want to add anything else? And then I'll go through this comment in the chat box.
No, sorry, I forgot to bring my hand back down.
That's
Sorry.
all right. That's all right. And Susan, if you wanted to add anything, just raise your hand and I'll unmute you again if you can't unmute yourself. But anyway, so Elizabeth shared, I'm having an issue getting them off the phone once I start the conversation, right? And also getting ongoing regular text and phone calls. So here's the reality. And this is why people don't do this. The first call, when you reconnect with somebody, I am sorry, but the only way you can reconnect is to give them your time and reconnect. And it's going to be a 20 or 30-minute phone call. It is also the reason it can be a 40-minute phone call. I mean, if you get the grandma who doesn't have anybody to talk to, it's going to happen. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys, though. Everything we've talked about is real. There's for 1,000 people, there's 100 to 200 sales. There's 100 to 200 people that are absolutely moving. When people get into real estate, we want to be productive. So when we have those calls, we feel like we just wasted 30 to 45 minutes of our day when what would we have replaced it with? Calling strangers, cold calling, which isn't fun and it's not comfortable. So we're going to hem-haw around and not really dial the numbers anyway. And we've got to call 20 or 30 to get 4 or 5 people to answer the phone. So in that 45 minutes, I could dial numbers and call 20 strangers, knowing that only 1% of them are going to be moving at any given time. And I have to call 100 to find one, but I can probably call about 20 strangers in 45 minutes if I'm dialing numbers. And if they answer and some hang up and some don't talk, I might get an appointment. I might not get an appointment for 2 or 3 days if I did that every day during that 45 minutes. If you took that same 45 minutes and it took you that long to reconnect with one person, not all your calls will be like that, but a lot will. There'll be 15 minutes, there'll be 20 minutes, there'll be 25 minutes, could be. So when you spend that time on that with the people that already know you and like you, and you get top of mind awareness and you put them on an 8x8, here's the difference. 50 to 1, 12 to 2. 50 to 1 is the calling strangers for 45 minutes, trying to get somebody to stay on the phone long enough to get an appointment. So that means for every 50 people, I might get 1 appointment. For every 12 people I connect with and put on an 8x8 and a 33 touch, I'm going to get 2 pieces of business. 1, they do business with you, and 2, the 2 part is the referral, which takes us right back to our slides from the last 2 sessions where 40-something% were referred by a friend or family member. So that's where the 12 to 2 is. So in mathematics, if I take 50 to 1 and make the 12 to 2 look like the 50 to 1, I mean, that's like dividing 50 into 1 is 2%. Dividing 12 into 2 is whatever that percentage is, right? But it's for those same 50 people, if I put them in a 12 to 2 ratio, I've got 8 times more business. So it's almost like taking the 12, make it 4 times. So it's 50 to 8. 12 to 2 times 4 is 50. It's really what, 148 to 8. So for every 48 people, I take that 20 to 45 minutes to connect, to write the note, to put on the 8x8, a real true 8x8, and then I really make the phone calls, and I really follow that plan. For every 48 people, I'm going to get 8 pieces of business. So it's way too easy for us to slip back into the 50 to 1 and do an automated email and wait and see what happens. It's always going to be 1%. If there was any way to get 8 deals out of those 50 people doing it the way we've been taught and the way most of the way you guys only know how, we would all be doing it. But it's right here in 12 to 2. Does that help, Elizabeth? I hope that kind of clears that up a little bit. Just take a breath, free yourself, and waste a couple hours connecting with people. Now, you will learn after you do this for a while how to control those conversations a little bit more, that you can still get the family, occupation, recreation in, you can still verify their address, and you can still write the note, and you can still get them in command, and you won't necessarily take 45 minutes. They might take 10 minutes, right? What would have been 40 minutes before. And most of your calls are going to be a couple of minutes. But that once you start doing it, you'll get way better at it, way better at it. That part, I mean, just trust me on this one, guys. It is the easiest way. It's the simplest way to grow your business. As long as you can detach what your brain's trying to tell you that you really should be out door knocking or doing open houses or doing all, you still do all that stuff, but you do it after you've done this part. And I mean, this is what today is all about too. So I'm glad we're spending a little time on it. You'll see real quick when we go through the slides that this is exactly what we were covering anyway. All right, anybody else on that? Anything that we've talked about between the conversations and getting your master list going?
Brad, I have a question regarding the actual, like, having I'm having trouble having my husband and my kids, like, sharing, putting the word out there, like helping, like kind of saying, listen, my mom is in real estate, and I know my husband is in a field that he can probably, provide a lot of leads for me and help me out, but he feels embarrassed putting himself out there. What's a good way that I can kind of break into him for him to kind of put me out there a little more?
Well, again, everybody he talks to every day, only 1% of them are moving right now. So there is no go out and get your name out there so these people will call you.
Right.
He's gonna.
And that's his fear. Yes.
What's that?
No, I'm sorry. I said, and that is his fear, because he tells me, not anybody's talking about moving. And what are you? Yeah.
It's, guys, listen, it's never, ever going to change from that number. It will always, for eternity, be 1% moving. So he's got to go talk to 100 of his friends to find you one person. It's like, yeah, we'll call her. He's got to talk to 100 people a day. Now he's a full-time real estate agent. So here's what you do is you have him make that list for you, that master list for you, right? And if it were me, why not just create a letter from you and him sitting together, and you drop that in the mail to him. And it basically says, hey, I wanted to introduce my wife. She's a real estate agent. She may call you sometime and just connect, and more than anything, just wants to get to know who my friends are too. And I thought it was awesome, so I gave her your name and number, right? And so the letter goes out. And then you can just call. And again, you're going to be a total stranger to them. They won't recognize your number coming across. So you're just going to leave a message, and you're going to say, hey, it's Liz. What's your husband's name?
Robert.
It's Liz. I'm Robert's wife, right? And just wanted to call and say, hey, and introduce myself. I'm sure he said something about maybe giving you a call. So not necessarily about real estate. In fact, there's probably a chance you're not even thinking about buying or selling right now. But I just wanted to introduce myself and make sure you have a go-to person from now on. That would be the voicemail I would leave, right? And then I would probably schedule another call with them for a few days later and just call again and see if they answer. Because now, see, I'm working as a real estate agent. So it's like, that might seem weird. Yeah, it's no weirder than calling a stranger trying to get them to stay on the phone. You're still lead generating, right? So you're trying to catch them on the phone so that you can do, what's the next thing you do after you connect with somebody on the phone? The very next thing you automatically do every single time, or that I suggest that you do every single time.
Sorry, Brad, I'm very new. I just started this week. So
no, that's
I'm
all
just
right.
picking up.
Don't make this difficult. It's write a note. Okay. Write a note. That's the second thing you do to every single person you have a two-way conversation with for the rest of your career. Okay. And here's the secret, guys. If you connect with somebody, have a two-way conversation, and you write a note, and you screw up the rest of it, and you don't get anything else I said in place, you will double your business with the conversation and the note, even if you forget the follow-up. But if you have a conversation and you don't write a note and you don't put them in command, then you're in the 1% world for the rest of your career. because everybody talks to people all day long and then we never stay in touch with them again. And even if you try to stay in touch with somebody naturally and you don't put them in command and you don't write the note, you're going to call them maybe once or twice, maybe 3 times to catch up on the phone. And that might be 3 or 4 days from now by you're making the 3rd attempt to get them on the phone. This could be like an internet lead. Put it in that perspective. You really have an internet lead. Somebody inquired about a house. You call them, they don't answer. You call them, they don't answer. You send them an email, they don't respond, right? By day 3, I might be making my 3rd attempt just to try and catch them on the phone. And here's what's going to happen. More leads are going to come in off the internet, and you're doing the same thing with them. You're trying to get them on the phone. So you're calling them for the first time. You got their voicemail. You sent them an email. There's no response. You're calling this person for the 2nd or 3rd time. Within 3 days, you have so many people coming that you're just making those first attempts to get them on the phone. You will absolutely forget about the people from last week. They will never, ever get another call from you for the rest of eternity unless they pop up on your leads list again. Does that make sense? I'm telling you what your business is going to look like if you try and do it manually. If you move everybody into command, if you put those internet leads in command and schedule the next call, so that it never stops and it will remind you to call them in 6 months and in a year, I'm telling you, internet leads will convert to buyers more in the 6 month and 1 year from now than they will in this month right now. Because like I've said in previous classes, and so you can keep connecting the dots, most buyers that we're capturing every single day in real estate, going to a website to look at properties for sale, are not a buyer for the next 3 to 6 months. They haven't gotten pre-approved. I mean, unless they call you and say, we've got a suitcase of cash, we got our approval letter in our hand, we found our dream home and want to go through the front door, that doesn't happen very often. It doesn't happen at all, really. So most of those people haven't even gotten approved yet. They don't know how the process works. They just started looking. And what you're doing is you're capturing them off of you're taking them out of the market so some other agent can't have them, but they're still 3 to 6 months down the road. So when we make all those attempts right at the beginning, and we did our best, I mean, I'm telling you, we work hard to get them on the phone, but then we never hear from them and they disappear. And 6 months later, somebody grabs them because now they're hotter and they got them. But that was somebody's 1% 6 months from now, that they had the other stuff going on where they weren't following up and doing all that stuff. The odds that that person is going to remember to call you is slim to 0 unless you wrote them a note and you put them on a follow-up plan and you stay connected with them, even if that connection is leaving a message. I really, really hope you guys are hearing this. Like, snap out of trying to get the next person to say, oh my gosh, I need to talk to you. Just talk to people and then stay in touch with them. And I'm telling you, sometime in the next day to 5 years, they're going to call you and go, hey, we're thinking about moving, because you stayed in touch with them from the very first day. There's no way they're going to remember you 6 months from now or a year from now. It is so critical that you're getting them in the database and scheduling the call. And if you can have 2-way conversations, 5 a day is all you need. If you do 5 a day every day, and this is your job now as a real estate agent, go meet 5 people a day, not find 5 sellers, not find 5 buyers, just meet 5 people and have a good conversation and write 5 notes a day. That is your job as a real estate agent. If you do that from the next 12 months, you stay in touch with me. For the next 12 months, you will have 1,200 people in your database. If you do that, and I'll help you stay in there, because I'll ask you how many people you got in your database every single week. And it should be 25 more than it was last week. And you should be making more calls and writing, sending more emails and text messages and all that stuff, right? So as you're building your database, it's 1,200 people in 12 months at 5 a day. You will have over 100 deals that could be happening, and you'll probably capture half of them. You'll be doing somewhere around 25 to 50 deals. You'll still be losing 25 to 50 deals. That's the horrible situation, but not really. Because if you had 25 to 50 where your phone's ringing with those, that's a fun real estate business to have. And then you'll start figuring out how to make sure you're not losing the other ones. That'll be another issue that'll come up later. But you got to get those 25 to 50 coming in first before you can even get to 100. It's not like you're going to all of a sudden get 100. These are all great conversations, you guys. I hope you'll go back, and this is probably the most important conversation we've had and probably will have in this whole entire Ignite session. So definitely find this recording and watch it again and hear this conversation about 5 or 6 times. And then also read page 133 through 148 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. If you don't have the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, then ask your office to get you a copy of it. Oop, come on, go in there. There we go. So, all right. So let me go through the slides. We've already covered just about everything that we were going to cover today. So some of these slides will go pretty quick. But again, we were talking about growing your business, and now we're going to be moving into run your business. So we're on Spark 9. Now we're going to move into Elements. And Elements is where we start talking about marketing the listing, showing the buyers houses, negotiating contracts. We're going to get a little more detailed on the actual transaction part of everything. But this is still in that grow your business part. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their future. So the habit that I just pounded to the ground to you today is every single day, if you're starting at 8 to 8:30, yet your motivation and building time and your daily success habits between 8:30 and 11:30 is working on your master list, pulling people off of Facebook, writing names out of your phone, finding addresses and phone numbers, and then you're calling people during that time. So 8:30 to 9:30 could be working on your list. 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, that's 3 more hours, right? Well, 9:30, 10:30, 10:30, 11:30, that's 2 more hours of actually calling the ones that you get numbers for after you verify addresses and all that other stuff. So once you build that habit, then you'll see the rest of the day. I mean, it's like just running the business. It means go do the day. Whatever's happening in the day, what fires are happening, what new opportunities are showing up, new people that you're meeting, that kind of stuff. But it's 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. If you make that your daily success habit, I'm telling you, you can all make $1 million net selling real estate, but the habits have to reflect $1 million business, right? The way you get to $1 million business, real agent in my office netting about $1.5 million a year. I mean, he has 11 Lamborghinis in Kansas City, right? Young kid. He is on the phone for 4 hours a day. Now, he has a team built up. You can grow into your business at 5 a day. So you don't hire a team right away. And you're probably not going to do 4 hours a day right away because it's not a habit yet. You got to make it a habit to do it an hour a day before you can then grow it to 2 hours. When you grow to your habit and you do 2 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week without fail, I'm telling you, in 12 months, you will be able to hire a team because you will be selling 50 to 60 homes a year. You can't not sell 50 to 60 homes a year if you are working on this list 2 hours a day, finding phone numbers, calling 5 people a day. There's no way you cannot not do it. So you're going to be able to build a team. He is literally, his team will not, I mean, it's like they shut him in a closet with a phone. This is what he does every single day. That's the only way he can make over $1 million net after paying his team and after expenses. But it's a brutal, I'll just call it a brutal 4 hours a day, but it's really not. He's just calling his friends. He's got his list and the people are popping out of the system. So when I forgot who it was that said something about the calls piling, Roya was talking about the calls piling up. Yeah, that is going to be 5 to 6 years from now when you have a team of people and you're doing 250 closings a year, then your calls will be piled up in 5 to 6 years that your team will allow you to sit there on the phone for 3 or 4 hours a day and make those calls. And that is his job. That's his one thing he does every single day. And he has 11 Lamborghinis to show for it. Right. I mean, I don't know why you would want 11 Lamborghinis, but he loves Lamborghinis and he has 11 of them and he has an entire shop built to store them and he can drive whichever one he wants that day. Right. So, I mean, you got to set those habits up, and the habits are the 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. So we had talked about this earlier, and I'll pause out for questions too. I just want to make sure I get everything in to help you guys really pull this off. And that is this 411. We talked about this probably 4 or 5 sessions ago. And it's like, what is my annual goal? What is my monthly goal? And then what's that translate into a week? So in your 411, it's 1 year, 1 month, and 4 weeks. What you do is, if you want to make $250,000 a year, I think most of you were saying like $500,000 a year. Okay. So if I want to make $500,000 a year, that goes on my annual spot. If I'm using paper, I'm going to plug 500,000 in there. I'm going to go make 12 copies of this because there's 12 months, right? So I'm going to make 12 copies. And if my number is 500, so I want to make $500,000 a year, divide that by 12. So I made 12 copies. So now under month, I need to put 41,666. We'll just say 42,000 to be safe. I don't like the 666 in there, right? So 42,000 for the month. And I put that 42,000 on all 12 pages, right? So 42,000 a month will get me 500,000 in net at the end of the year. Now I take the 42,000 page for January and I go make we'll say February, that'll be easier since we're moving into February. For February, I go make 4 copies of it. So now I have my annual goal on these 4 copies. I got my monthly goal on these 4 copies. Now I take the first copy and what do I have to do the first week? Well, that's $10,000, okay? For you guys, that might be 1 sale, it might be 2, but I got to make $10,000 a month or a week to get 40,000 for the month to make 500,000. So it's real simple. 10,000. If it's a lot and you don't think you can do it, then you're probably not going to do 500,000. You need to put a realistic goal on there. But if it's 10,000 and your average commission check is 5, then you need to have 2 contracts written this week. In order for you to sell 2 houses this week, you're probably gonna have to write 3 or 4 contracts. So write 4 contracts is one of my weekly goals. That's gonna be almost 1 a day, right? So how many calls do I need to make each day of the week to get an opportunity to write a contract? Well, you might have to make 100 calls a day to get 1 contract, but that's the only way you're gonna make $10,000 a week for 4 weeks in a row. So the 411 is your absolute must have to do list. It's not like go door knock for a while. No, it's you need to track how many doors do I knock that somebody answers the door, that they give me an appointment to come give them a value on their house, and how many of those people actually end up listing with me. So you're going to find that your 411 would say, I got to knock on 50 doors this week to get 5 people to let me in, to get 2 of them to list with me so I can get 2 contracts this week and make $10,000. You'll want to know what your numbers are. And that's what the 411 is for. Let me pause out there because the 411 is a pretty big deal. See if anybody has any questions about any of that we've been talking about. All right, I'm going to keep, go ahead. Elizabeth, you got a question?
Yes. Do you have a recommendation for some of us that have not made any deals yet on how to estimate how many doors or how many phone calls we have to make?
Yeah, it's a real easy way. Go do it. In fact,
no, but I mean in order to do the 411, in order to prepare it, is what
yeah,
I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just know if you knocked on 50 doors and you actually talked to 50 people in a week, that would be 10 doors a day, right? So 10 doors a day. I'm going to this week put 50 down for my week, which means it's 10 for 10 each day. So I'm going to go knock until 10 people answer their doors. And then you're going to track the results for the rest of this month. And but you're going to have to do it every single day. You can't skip 3 days and then know what your numbers are, right? You're committed to it. I want to know what my numbers are and I'm going to go do this. Like there's nothing to prepare for to go knock on doors. You just go find a neighborhood and knock on doors. So you don't even have to prepare a list to call. So go knock on 10 doors a day. And at the end of the month, we're going to go back and look and see how many people took you up on the listing appointment. And if it was 0, then 50 is not enough for you, right? And or you look back at how that door knocking went. And if you're writing down the objections in your little objection book that I've always suggested, that you come back and you go to your script book. I buried it. The shift, or I mean the Spark shift book and the Elements script book. I said shift book and I meant script book. find a script that you could use to change those objections at the door. And so you're also going to be working on getting better at door knocking. You will naturally do it. If you knocked on 50 doors a week, 200 in the first month that you're tracking this, I'm telling you, you're going to get 2 appointments. You have to, at the very least, get 2 appointments if you had 200 people open the doors. Now, if you tried it for a few days and it sucked, and then you skipped it for another week, we don't know what the numbers are. I mean, you're going to have 200 to start, just to even get probably 2. So once you get those 2, or you don't get the 2, and in the meantime, you're finding better scripts, and you're going to naturally have a better conversation even in your second week over your first week. And you're going to have an even better conversation in the third week than you did in the second week, because you're doing it every single day. And if you are looking for scripts, it's going to speed the process up. So does that answer your question?
It totally does. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and knock on doors, and then go back, be consistent, and come back in a month and then do it.
Yeah. And here's the other part. Don't quit after 1 month. Once you make a commitment to how you're going to do it, do that for 6 months. Gary will tell you everything. It takes time to catch on and to get real numbers. Now, at the end of 6 months, if I've knocked on 200 times 5, I've knocked on 1,000 doors and gotten 0 appointments, either it's not working, or I just really suck at door knocking. So I better figure out a different way. And I'll have 5 months invested, 6 months invested in that, right? But yeah, that's how you'll track it. If you're calling anybody, if you're doing real, like, true lead generation where you're calling internet leads, all that stuff, I mean, track your dials to how many people answer the phone, to how many people don't hang up on you. And then out of those, the people that don't hang up on you, so out of 100 dials, I get 40 people to pick up and have a good conversation with that don't hang up on me. I got 2 appointments or 1 appointment. Then I know I got to get 40 people on the phone to at least get 1 appointment. If I want 3 listings this week to hit my goal, then I need 40 times 3, which is 120 two-way conversations, and I should get 3 appointments. You'll know what your number is when you start tracking it. And so that's where it gets real, because it's like, here's my goal. Okay, so if you break it down and you got 3 appointments for every 120 people you have two-way conversations with, means I got to dial 300 numbers. So now I know before my 411 even starts, or when I look at my 411 and go, okay, I need a list of 300 phone numbers if I'm going to get my 3 appointments this week, because my 3 appointments this week will generate 2 sales, which will generate 10,000 in commission, which will generate my 500,000. It's so real, like you can't fake it. So when we're coaching people, it's like, all right, how many calls? Man, Brad, it was tough. I mean, gosh, I think I got 60 of those people and I didn't get any appointments. Well, yeah, because you need 120 to get 3. So you probably had all 3 in the next 60 people, right? So let's just say you're not going to make 500,000 this year. What are you going to be okay with? Oh no, I have to make 500,000. That's how I'm going to pay off my car, my debt, and my house. Okay, well then we have to get 3 appointments a week. I mean, that's what your numbers are. So that's where, as real estate agents, we may sometimes be too soft on ourselves, and we tell ourselves we're doing a good job, but we may not be doing the right number to hit what we really want to get. And you're going to get better at it as you go. So you'll find that in 6 months from now, your conversion rates are going to be going up because you're getting good at it. In fact, if you did it for 6 months, what we just kind of talked about, that sounds hardcore. But if you did 120 two-way conversations and you got 3 appointments, you're probably going to be speaking at family reunion. Gary Keller will see what your business is doing, and he'll know by looking at your database. And well, he can't get into our database, our command or anything like that, I don't think, but he knows what's going on with every single agent. You will make that much of a difference that you will stand out. You'll be rookie of the year if you're new. You will be asked to speak at things because you will be the master at doing whatever it is you've been doing every day, 5 days a week. And that's kind of brings me to this point here, this 80-20 rule. Guys, 80% of what you're going to do every single day from this day forward is going to generate just 20% of the money you make. So when we're talking about the 500,000 getting 10,000 a week, then we have to focus on the 20% to get 80% of that money. And that 20% is two-way conversations, finding somebody that wants to meet with you, knowing that of all the people we talk to, only 1% of them are probably moving right now. Let me reiterate that one real quick for you. We got about 5 minutes left. That when it's 1%, it's because if there were 100 people and they're moving every, I'm going to keep simple math, they're moving every 10 years, right? So that means 10 of them are moving. That's 10%. 10% of 100 is 10. So it's 10%. So 10% means that if 10 people are moving out of 100, divide that by 12, it means less than one of them are moving every month, right? There's one person moving in the next 10 months. I could say 120 if you want me to keep it simple, means 12 people are moving, which means one person a month is moving. 120 and one's moving each month, that's 1%. And when we say 2% or possibly 3%, it could be that the person that's moving next month is starting to think about it now. And if you talk to all 120 people, you'll find these two people here. One will be ready to list pretty quick. As long as you impress them, they'll list with you. And the other person just started the process of thinking about it. So they got to get their house staged, get pre-approved to buy a house, see if they can even afford to move, all that other stuff. Those are your two appointments that you're going to get for like 100 people, for example. No matter which way you slice and dice these numbers, they're always the same. It's always 1% is going to be moving at any time. So your numbers have to be big enough to get that. And you got to get those people in the pipeline so you don't have to always find the 1% for the rest of your career, because that is the grindstone. I mean, that is 3 to 4 hours a day of talking to people to find the 1%. If you talk to all those people, you capture them, you write them a note and put them in command and put them on a drip plan, and then you stay in touch with them, you're building the pipeline up so that you're not only getting the 1% now, you're getting the 1% next month and the 1% next month and the 1% next month, because you're keeping in touch with everyone. So you're actually, in essence, capturing all 10% every year, which means that over 10 years, you're capturing 100% because you kept in touch with all 100 of them over a long period of time. Do I see any other questions there? All right, we got a few more minutes yet. So setting your objectives, let me see if I had any specific notes on that. That is your 411, guys. Your 411s are gonna, that's gonna be your metric driven. It's gonna tell you exactly how many dials you have to make every day, how many doors you need to knock on. And for example, start with the 50 doors, right? 50 doors a week is 10 a day. 10 a day, 5 days a week. Just go do it for the next month and see what happens. Your business will blow up, by the way, just by accident, if you really did that. But we don't do anything consistently. So when you time block, you're going to have, this is where you're going to find your calendar pretty important. You're going to need to put your big stuff in your calendar first, like in your Google Calendar or whatever calendar you use. And you got to fill in the gap. Everything that doesn't have your must be at stuff at is going to be working on your 411. Just pick up your 411 and make sure you're doing everything that's in that day, that week, or whatever that's due. So time blocking is important. And then creating accountability. This is the other thing. So we've set a goal for the door knocking thing. Now we have to actually do it, right? And measure the results to figure out what our conversion rate is. That's where you come back in and evaluate the process, which is find a better script, find a better way to keep them at the door a little longer, whatever. You make your adjustments, and then you go back and do it again the next month with your adjustments, and you track your results and see if they're getting better. If they didn't get any better, when you come to evaluate the process again, you're going to find a different script, a better way to do it. Or maybe you start getting smarter and you're like, okay, I'm going to pull up neighborhoods that haven't turned over in 5 years. That's what I'm going to start doing. So now you can start targeting the neighborhoods that you're knocking on doors. So that's like a door knock example. But also on that accountability, share your goals with your team leader. I mean, I would love it if every agent would actually not wait for me to call them as a team leader, but they called me as a team leader and said, hey, I want you to know my goals and I want you to hold me accountable. Your team leader will love this. If you have a productivity coach, you say, hey, here's my number. And in fact, if you give it to them every single week and say, here's my number, here's my number, here's my number. If they don't hold you accountable with that kind of accountability to them to hold you accountable, then they might not be the right person for the role. But if you're handing me something like that, I'm going to hold you accountable. I just got to know what it is, but I'm not going to probably call every single person and try and talk you into giving me what your goal is. If somebody who wants it bad enough tells somebody else, guys, find the people on this group. You write down the names of these people that are in this call and on all the past recorded calls. It's a Zoom call. So you have everybody's names. Call them. I was just on a Keller Williams leadership call today, and two of the people that had great ideas, I emailed them and said, thank you so much for sharing all that stuff. I would love to have a call with you. And because that is the plan that I want to put in place. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for the call. Yes, I'll be more than happy to share that with you. So it's not even share. It's this team leader is going to give me their drip plan to grow my agent downline and to grow the office that I'm in, right? So I'm going to get the drip plan from him that just got him 75 appointments last week. Same thing with buyers and sellers, guys. You're talking to agents. You guys are all networking. What's working, what's not, what's your numbers. So plan those check-ins and set a date to re-meet. So anyway, got right through it all just in time for me to open it back up. See if you guys have any additional questions. I mean, I'm going to pop up the feedback thing where you guys tell us how the class went, but I'd like to just hear right now, like we really recapped a lot of important stuff. How many of you right now, what is your feeling towards, oh my gosh, this sounds so simple. And what'd you get out of today is what I'm kind of getting at. What's your biggest aha? Was this a good class, or are you just like, oh my God, he just keeps talking about the same stuff all the time?
It was a good class, Brad. I learned a lot. As far as for me, my aha was like, I guess lead, like kind of just building that confidence and how to, move forward and get out of that funk of, go ahead and make those calls. It's okay to go do your door knocking and also how to approach, my husband's, friends and stuff like that. And it was a big help for me.
Yeah, if you take a stab at it here and there, it's always going to be uncomfortable and your confidence level will never get where it needs to be. If you do it every day, 5 days a week, like right now, if I just talk to 5 people, I have their phone number and their address for. So that way, because then I'm making it easy because now I have the address. I don't even have to ask them for the address. I can write, at least talk to them and write the note. If I just do that one little thing 5 days this week and then 5 days next week and 5 days next week, pretty soon you're just like, what the heck was I thinking? This is so simple, and then it frees your mind up to then look at the next thing that you haven't done well that you want to get better at. But instead we keep grabbing at everything, trying to claw our way out of the hole. And we never get the confidence of being good at any of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Guys, by the way, click the link in the chat box. It'll open up a new window so you can do the survey real quick after we get done. Anybody else? Go ahead, Elizabeth.
I think my biggest aha is, like you said, how simple it is. Like I just been overthinking it and I've been so scared of it. And it's just, listen, just call your friends, just call your people on your phone, like touch bases with people. I can't believe how simple it is.
I know. And people love to talk about real estate, you guys. That real estate's going to come up even if you try not to talk about real estate. You're going to be talking about real estate with enough people. Just remember, 98% of them aren't moving anyway, so it's not critical. I'm glad you got that out of today, Elizabeth. Absolutely. And just do it every single day. Anyone else? Guys, it really is simple. I will tell you in the E-Myth real estate book, that's the one thing Michael Gerber really discovered in the E-Myth stuff is, as human beings, we just make everything more difficult than it really needs to be. And if at all you are struggling or you think this is tough, I want you to hear Brad's voice say, I must be overthinking it or making it more difficult because everything he shared is simple. So I'm doing something to myself to make this really hard. And you pick up the phone, you text me, you do whatever and say, why is it so hard to write 5 notes today? And I'll respond because you're not really connecting with 5 people. Well, I know, but I haven't picked up the phone and called them yet. Well, then you can't write the 5 notes. Just call 5 people right now and write 5 notes. Forget about anything else to happen. The only goal you want out of that whole thing is to write 5 notes about anything to anyone. Go ahead.
And how crazy is it that you don't have, as a new agent, you don't have any revenue, you don't have any income coming in. Like all you need is stamps. That's it.
Yeah. Well, by the time in 2 months, you're going to have a listing or 2 and you're going to have them closing versus you might have 2 or 3 months already in. And we've been trying to find business but we're not even talking to enough people to get that 1% conversion. I've only talked to 50 people maybe in the first 3 months of real estate, and you need 100 to get one appointment. Or we talked to 100 and got an appointment, but we didn't know what we were doing yet, so we didn't get the listing. So I need 200 to get 2 appointments to maybe get one of them to list with me, right? So yeah, it's all a numbers game when it really comes down to it. Great comments, great contributions today, guys. Have fun, keep it simple. 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day, 5 a day. That's it. Have fun,
Thank
y'all.
you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
You too.
Great
Thank you.
weekend.
You too.
Mommy.
Hey, did you get in? Okay, sorry about that. I knew I had that 1 o'clock appointment. I wasn't even going to be able to be available, so I hate that I'm not there, but hopefully everything's going okay. Yep. All right, cool. All right, well, let me know what comes out of that when you get the report back and kind of what you're thinking, and we'll get everything solidified and hammered down on both of you and figure out what we need to do to make this happen. Okay, and you can send me that report too. I don't mind looking through it as well, but you can just tell me what's on there. I mean, you know construction, so you know what's going to be an issue, and I'm sure there's going to be. Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Yep, let me know how it goes. All right, thanks for your patience on that. You bet. Korn team, this is Brad.
Hi, Brad. It's Lisa Nyers, Prime Lending. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I'm calling with not great news, though. We just got all the VOEs finally back for Daisy Reyes, and she does not qualify.
All right. Well, we had already moved on anyway, so.
Okay, well, good. And I'm sorry. I was trying to save the deal, but
Yeah.
I did the best I could, my dear.
Yeah, we kind of figured that might be the case. We kind of had her as a backup offer if it might work, but yeah, I hadn't heard anything. So thank you for letting me know, though. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to call.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hello, this is Brad.
Hey, Brad, my name is Joe Cairns. I got a couple questions for you about possibly purchasing a house here in the future.
Oh, yeah, sure. How'd you hear about us?
My aunt thinks the world of you, so she always tells me to call you whenever I have questions about stuff like that.
Who's your aunt?
So, Vicky Munsterman.
Oh, yeah. Gotcha. Nope. I know. We've talked to you a couple times. She's like, man, I really need him to call you.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. No, yeah. What can I tell you about the process or what you're thinking about, Joe?
Well, I got into a bit of a pickle a few years back. In December, it'll be 3 years. And I purchased this house in 2017. And I had to do bankruptcy in 2019. Since then, I was able to build up my credit and everything. I think I'm at like 700 now. But I'm not sure how. When I Google it, some say 3 years, some say 2 years. I don't know how long that process is before you're eligible.
Yeah. Well, and honestly, I've got the perfect lender guy that you can call because he'll just run your preliminary stuff and tell you what you need to know. He'll
Okay.
tell you exactly what it is because he'll be able to see what programs would work for you and all that other stuff. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make sure I give you his number before we get done talking for sure. And what's your address of your property now that you own? Is that where you live now?
Yeah. It's 4009 Southwest Washington Drive.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can't remember if Vicky had given it to me before or not. All right. And how's the house? Would you say it's average condition? Does it need work? Has it been updated?
No, the house is fine. The issue is they haven't reconfirmed on the loan.
Right. Gotcha. And then if you're gonna move, so I'll run values on that. How many bedrooms do you have? How many baths? What type of house is it?
The house that we have now is 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's 3 full bedrooms and then a fourth conforming.
Is it like in the basement or something?
It's a front rear split, so it's not really the basement. It's like half.
Yeah, I gotcha.
It would be a
Front to back split, so you walk in the front door into the living room and then you go up a half a flight of stairs to the kitchen and stuff.
yeah, and then downstairs is a bedroom. And
Yep.
garage.
Gotcha. And is it still a family room down there too, or are you using the family room as a bedroom?
No, it's kind of like a big bedroom with a bathroom in it.
Got the bath in it. Okay, cool. And then what, 2-car garage?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll pull that information up and look on that. But on the flip side of that, and like I said, I'll give you Sean's number and he can just tell you what the real score is because they'll actually look at all 3 credit agencies and he'll be able to tell just from some basic information you can provide him, just like, call to see what you would qualify for, because then he'll be able to look at the different programs and it might require a little different credit score and all that other stuff. So Sean will definitely help you with that. But
Okay.
where would you guys?
Sean's last name?
Sean Parker. And I'll give you his.
Who's he through?
He is Premier Mortgage. He's really just he's a cool guy. He will help you and give you information and be honest with you and tell you what you need to do. Like he told me once, just, hey, pay off like $50 towards this card, but no more, and you'll raise your credit score up 4 points. I can get you a little better rate. And I was like, sweet. He's pretty knowledgeable. But his office number is 816-524, and I can text it to you too. 524-5225. Is this your cell phone that you're calling me from?
It's my work cell, yeah.
Oh, your work cell?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Do you have a cell phone yourself too? Or do you use this one for everything?
No,
Okay.
everyone's got.
Gotcha. So let me text this to you and see if it comes through, just to make sure you have it. And then my next question is, oh, I even had you in my phone. We've texted back. Oh, I sent you his stuff back in 2020, I bet. So hopefully you have that text message now if it just came through. Where would you want to move to, like area, or do you have an idea of what you guys would really like to buy? Once you find out what you're approved, that we'll figure it out. But I can start sending you some properties now to just get an idea of what's out there. Where would you guys move to, and what do you think you'd be looking for?
I'm not sure. Maybe either Blue Springs or Liberty. But yeah, let me see. Like I said, depending on what type of search I do on Google, I'm either like a year off, or I'm pretty close, or I'm really far away. So I don't want to get my hopes up too much. But
Well, yeah. So just go ahead and give Sean a call. That will give you a more realistic look, honestly.
okay, I'll
yeah.
give him a call then.
Even when you do your property searches, you want me to set it up inside the MLS system that we use, because their sites they leave things on there that are already under contract or really not for sale. They got to have something out there or else there's no reason to capture your information and sell it back to us. So
Yeah.
it's a very frustrating process. But yeah, start with Sean. I'll pull up some preliminary numbers on your house once we hear back what Sean says, and give me a call back, and then we can move forward with the next step to figure out what equity you have, what you'd be looking for, and get you set up on some searches.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you bet. Bye. Hello, hold on. There we go. Hey, I forgot you might be out because you got a sick kiddo, right?
Bullshit, this kid ain't fucking sick. I'm pissed.
Uh-oh.
I am so pissed off. So I picked him up and she's like, yeah, he has a fever and you have to go get him tested. I had to go to a different room because he likes his nurse. I don't want him to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what's his fever? And she's like, it's 100, but he doesn't feel good, so you have to take him home. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? So I got him into his doctor, and I just had him do a PCR test because this kid ain't sick.
Oh my gosh. So is it a babysitter or was it school?
School, because he's in school.
Oh.
So, but he's got like my chart and stuff, so I'll get his results before the end of the week, before the weekend's over.
Yeah.
But like, I had to have a talk with him and the doctor about crying wolf and stuff, because like he's a diabetic, so he's away from the nurse's office, so he hears these sick kids talk.
Yeah.
So I have like a Ferris Bueller on my hands, I think.
Oh, so he actually instigated it and got the convinced school that he was sick.
I guess so.
Oh.
I guess so. I mean, like I told her, I was like, 100 isn't a temperature, and I can't get. I mean, like he ate for me, and he's like hyper as hell.
Right.
I'm not happy.
Well,
and I was on a roll. Like I was just in a conference room booking appointments. I was in my zone.
yeah.
I was like honing in, and then they're like, "You need to get Keaton." I was like, "Okay, fine, whatever."
That's all right. Life happens all the time. We can make it work. We'll figure it out.
Yep, I'm gonna get on the Ignite call though, because I have it on my phone. So.
Oh yeah, cool. Yeah, today's a good session. I mean, it's just more about the 5 a day and just trying to convince them that they do not need to cold call every day. So
yeah, right.
anyway, yeah, so I was looking at those appointments and let me go to it now again. So like when I looked at it, I got one that's in purple and then the other ones come across as white, but none of them have phone numbers. So are these all in person?
No, so there's the time blocks you gave me are the ones I put in, and the only one that is a phone number is one of your 530s, I believe.
I put them in the notes, like they're in there. So like if it has our address, they're coming in person by the time slots you gave me. And then I believe Crystal Persinger is a phone call because that's the time slot you gave me. And then there's Trish, but Trish wants to Zoom, but I just didn't have time to make a Zoom link before I left. So I have to make the Zoom link. But like in the location,
Gotcha.
of that Google invite is where I'm putting if it's a phone call or not.
So let's just move their phone number up to right after their name. When you're scheduling the appointment, you know how you put Crystal Piersinger to speak with Brad? If you put Crystal Piersinger and her phone number there, then I can see it right on my calendar and just dial the number at that time. But if it doesn't have a phone number behind their name, then I know it's in person.
Yeah, I can edit them all on Monday.
Yeah, no, I mean, you don't have to put anything on the ones that are in person. I'll just assume that there's no phone number in the title of the appointment. It's an in-person.
Yeah, and I can put Zoom if they want to Zoom, but there will be a Zoom link within the invite.
Yeah, see, and that's what I do. Like in my Zoom link, I actually I would put Crystal Piersinger and then I'd paste the Zoom link right behind her name. Because
if you want.
Yeah, I think that's easier because then I can see right on my calendar that it's a Zoom or that it's a what, because the other one you have to open them up and edit them to see the notes a lot of times. So anyway, that might be an easier way for me just to see if I'm supposed to be somewhere or if it's on a Zoom or a call.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. All right, like I'm adjusting Crystal now, so you'll see kind of what I was talking about, but it seems pretty easy. And then, my other question real quick is, where'd it go? All right, Sarah Locke.
Yes.
She just sent us a lead, right? So that's a new guy. That's probably something you'll grab and call and see if he wants to come to the new agent.
Call him. I texted her and I said, hey, I had to come home with a friend, but I'll call Christian on Monday.
Yeah.
And see if he wants to come in person or not.
Because he wants he wants the school information, and then you could probably, I mean, if he's really just starting the process, he can just come to the next career night.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of people. That's another thing that was on my list to do today was to put the career night up for 15th because I've had like 3 agents message me about potential people. So that's something I'm working on Monday as well.
Yep. So we got February 15th is career night. I need to put that on my calendar. And then, so on that note, so Sarah is not listed on any rosters that I have. She's not in the database.
Sarah was with us briefly. She came here from KW Integrity.
Yeah.
And she was here, or maybe, no, she came from somewhere else. Sorry. She came from like a different place and she signed under Chris. And she was with us for just a couple months. And then she realized that KW Integrity was closer to home. So she is a KW agent, but just with Integrity.
Oh yeah, actually now I'm looking at it, doesn't say One Legacy, it says Legacy Partners.
Oh, or whichever one that is. Which one's that?
Is Legacy Overland Park?
I think so. So Integrity is Lawrence.
Right. Yeah, so you don't think
she's a KW agent?
Yeah. I was thinking she was in our office because it said Legacy Partners, not One Legacy. That was my fault. I was like, wait, I shouldn't not have somebody in my list. So I was like,
I should know who this person is.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, well, I think that's all I have for now. Okay. All right.
All righty.
All right. Good. Well, have fun being frustrated.
Yeah, it is what it is. I get some extra cuddles and it's not my day, so at least I get to see him. So
okay. All right. All right, cool.
All right.
Bye.
I'll see you in a bit.